Welcome everyone to King of Catan episode 14. My name is Treeckosaurus, I'm the creator and host of King of Catan, and for this episode I am joined by Hustle today. Thank you for joining me, Hustle.
Let's check out the semifinal.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is the semi-final for Season 5 between Aspencer, KingHigh, Vrej, and Shazzy. In my opinion, very skilled players. We have an interesting board in front of us, and when I first looked at this board, I think there are two, maybe three spots you could consider for your first pick. And those are the 5-9-10, the 4-8-3, or the 4, well, at least a combination with the 4 or and the 8 sheep, and the 6-9-3, all on the right part of the map. There's also the 8-5-10 on this board, which gives the most production. However, I don't think this can be considered as a first pick, and the reason for that being is that it gives a lot of wood, but there's not a lot of brick on this board. There's only the 10 brick and the 11 brick, and well, you also have the 12 brick, but you can't rely on numbers like those to roll really much. And then wood is not as effective as can be. Same can be said for wheat. The 10 wheat is one of the weakest wheat spots on the map, and there's not that much ore.
Yeah, at first glance, I'd probably go on the 9-5-10. You get the best brick. You do get the wood, but you're getting 3 resources with the first settlement, and you're getting the best ore number, which is, probably the best resource late game. So I would agree with those starting spots. He seemed to go on the Shazzy went on the 9-3-6, which gives you all 3 for those dev cards, but that is the weakest ore number.
I think I would have gone for the 9-5-10 as well, especially for the reasons you mentioned, and also for the fact that it's not very likely someone else will place on 9 ore, which makes it less likely it will be blocked earlier on in the game, and you could get some development cards to go along with it. And also because there are a lot of weed sheep spots left on the map, like for example the 3-6-11 or the 10-9-11, you could combine with this spot. And also I think the best break on this map is key, because having that mobility will allow you to win a race to the first settlement or create some great trades during the game. I think the 9-5-10.
Yeah, and it's hard to rely on the 11 or the 12 for brick.
There is something to be said for this resource. And also, if you think the 9 ore will be blocked a lot, then there is certainly a consideration into taking the 6-3-9 over the 9-5-10. Another spot I looked at was the 4-8-3 with the double ore and the sheep. And the reason for that is that there are a lot of spots with the 6 wheat, and if you get the 4 and the 3, they are not that likely to be blocked, so you have a strong ore with sheep.
And then you have the ability to land on a strong wheat spot too, probably. So you have the best wheat. You potentially have the best wheat. You have the best sheep, and you technically have the most production of ore too. So
yeah, I've thought about this first pick quite a while, but I'd still go for the 9-5-10 or the brick and the ore combination. Like they are both the best on the map. Wood is not that relevant, but yeah, 5 wood is still pretty nice to have, especially if you have the 10 brick. Okay.
Yeah, and there is access to that port as well, the 3-1 port.
Yeah. So Spencer is next up to pick a second settlement, and I'm going to assume he's gonna go for one of these ore spots with the 8-4-3 or the 9-5-10. What do you think she will go for?
I think he'll probably go for the 9-5-10. I mean, you need to take ore, I feel, and I don't know. Like you said, the 4-3-8 is a pretty good starting spot too. So last pick on this map, Gray, I feel is probably in a tough spot because they might not get the best spot on all of the choice of those ore spots. So purple, I would imagine, is probably going to take the 9-5-10, but I could see the 4-8-3, but I think that 9-5-10 is probably the stronger
Also, what popped into my mind was the 4-8-10, just slightly above the 4-8-3, which allows you to pick up some brick, which is super rare on this board. You probably, maybe, you can get the 8-5-10 to go along with it, or the 8-4-3. Like, one of these spots will certainly be left open. So Spencer indeed went for the 9-5-10 here. And road pointing is interesting because you could go to the 3-for-1 board or to the brick board. I think brick will have such a demand for it that you don't necessarily need to get the brick board. You can get good trades with this brick with the other players anyways. So I like going to the 3-for-1 board.
Yeah, and plus if anything, he's almost definitely going to be able to get a second settlement on the 9, which is still the strongest ore spot in the game, single ore spot. And then there's the King High went with the 4-10-8, like you pointed out there.
Yeah, so this is really the debate. Should you go for the 4-8-10 or the 8-4-3? I think third pick you definitely have to pick with the on the 10 brick, because you can guarantee yourself either the 6-5-11 or the 8-5-10. It doesn't make sense for Vrej or Vrej. I'm going to call him Vrej because it sounds a little bit easier to pick both the 6-5-11 and the 8-5-10. He could go for 8-5-10 plus 5-4-11, which would effectively lock out the 6-5-11, but that would leave open the 6-5 and the 8-4-3 with the weed still. So yeah, I really love this pick.
Yeah, and see, this is the tricky spot that I was talking about for Gray here, in that he's the best he can connect to is the 4 ore. So he's not getting on the 10 either. So he's locked out. He's not entirely locked out of ore. He can still be on the 4, but he's pretty much locked out of the 10 for sure. So it's an unfortunate position, I feel, to be last pick on this board, but I guess we'll see what he does here.
Yeah, I agree completely with you. I've talked with many other King of Catan players on this pick in the chat room already, and we were like, oh man, this is such a difficult pick to take, because if you go for the strongest strategy with also all 5 resources and some setup for the next year's settlements, you go for the 9-4-11 and the 6-3-11 with brick. So you have a decent overall wood brick ratio and also Orvi cheap ratio, and also you have the sheep board to go along with that as your third settlement. So I like that. However, the downside of that is that you leave open both the 8-5-10 and the 6-5-11, and we all know who are looking for those spots. Those are red and purple who want those spots.
Plus the other thing is yeah, you're getting the resources you want, but you're also landing on an 11 and a 3, or 2 11s and a 3, which are lower end production numbers. So this is a pretty rough spot to be in, I feel, for last pick. I wonder if it's best to go on the 8-10-5 just for the sheer production of that spot.
Yeah, thought about it. What would you combine that with?
I mean, he's not going to get brick anyways, right? Unless, an 11 or 12's hit. So I don't know. I may have gone 8-10-5 and the 11-4-9, being able to go 2 settlements in a row here. But then you're locked out of, the brick. But as of right now, I guess depends. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to trade, wood or sheep for anything. It's going to be hard to get a brick. Exactly. So
I've also thought about the 5-4-11 and the 6-11-12 as a combination. Reason for that being is it's even less production. However, it gives you a possibility to point your road on the 6-11-12 towards the 6-5, so that could be left open. because if someone takes the 6311 or picks the 65, but when someone picks the 65, the 10, 9, 11 will be left open, so you point your road on the 5 or 11 downwards, so you can get either of these spots as your third settlement.
Yeah.
Vrej decided
So
to
he
go
went.
for the 4, 9, 11 and the 6, 3, 11, and this is the strongest setup right now, but it's also, I think you're so gonna get lapsed by the other players who just combine
Yeah.
like 9, 5, 10s with 8, 5, 10s. So that's like insane.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure how Gray would win from these settlement spots because I feel like you're just outclassed by the spots that the other players can go based on their starting spot. So they have decent options for their second spots, the players that went, first before him.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he's just at an immediate disadvantage.
Yeah.
Even though this may be the best setup that he can go with, it's just I feel like that's a tough spot to go.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The reason why this spot is less tough than it seems like right now is because your third and fourth settlement pick are pretty good. Like if you can win the race to the 9, 10, 2 and to the 4, 11, then you have a lot of sheep and a sheep board, which might
Yeah.
cover up for your lack of production. And like most settlement, ooh, here is an interesting pick by KingHigh, who places on the 6-5 instead of the 6-5-11, so he can point his road towards the 9 ore and settle on there as well.
Interesting.
I really like this.
Now, would you have gone there to get up to that 9, or would you have gone 8, 10, 5 as red?
Tough choice. I think.
Because you're just getting more wood, and it's not as good of a number as the 6, the 10, but I guess he is getting more ore. I guess he feels he needs that more ore and a better sheep or a better wheat spot.
Yeah, I completely see why the better wheat spot would be worth it. There's also the consideration to go for the 6-5-11, and like you gotta know that KingHigh is going to build on the 8-3 with his settlement eventually. So that's a pretty good spot for him, which gives him a little bit more ore. However, if he also builds on a 9 ore, he has a lot of ore, so he will need a lot of wheat as well.
Yeah.
However, I think the 8-5-10. Yeah, there's also if you look at Aspencer's pick, she would probably go for the 6-5-11 over the 8-5-10. So you lock out Aspencer from the sheep this way if she isn't able to win a race, as it seems like that is going down between Gray and Aspencer to the 10-9-2.
Yeah. See, I feel like red maybe could have gone on the 8, 10, 5 and then gone upwards because I don't know, because I don't know why anyone would go on that 10 in the center there, the 3, 11, 10. And then he'd get what he wants. He'd get a double up on the hay, and he'd have the best wood too.
So Shazzy picked the 8-4-3 with the wood, and it makes sense because he has the wood board nearby and he didn't gain wood earlier. However, if I look at this, I think maybe the 4-8 with the wheat board would have been better, as it helps you gain those early bricks a little bit sooner. You will be able to win the race to the wood board more easily.
I think he's maybe thinking, let me try to double up on the 8. I'm not sure if that's being more greedy, trying to, instead of going on the wheat port right off the bat, to go for the double up on the 8. But it would definitely give him more wood for that wheat or for the wood port later down the road, but it's going to be hard for him to generate those bricks. And he's gonna have to trade. He's gonna have to trade purple or red for those bricks.
Yeah,
And
purple won't trade them because purple has a lot of wood as well.
yeah,
Red might, but red still gains more wood than brick, so I don't see that happening very much as well. So I don't really see how this wins, but he could surprise me. I would have pointed, if I had gone for the 843, I would have pointed my road inwards towards the 3, 10, 11, but that is also very risky.
because if Gray loses that race down to 10-9-2, he's probably gonna try to go for that 10, 10-11-3.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I really liked what Red did with his first settlement was pointing his road towards the A3. You have a better ore sheep spot on this map, which is the 9-4-11. So that makes it so the A3 is less likely to be picked and you can build a settlement on there. So he could have pointed his road towards the 3-for-1 port as well, but I think this is the correct one.
Yeah, just get some more ore production.
So you haven't seen the game. Who do you think is most likely to win?
I like Spencer's spots the most. I mean, just from first glance, I agree with you. I think Spencer and King High have the best positions. There's weakness, I feel, in the other, two players, blue and gray, and I feel like it might just be an uphill battle for those players. So
yeah, where would you?
I would say I would take purple though. Purple spots over reds, personally.
Okay, a lot more production. It's like a crazy amount of production to have the 8-5-10 and the 5-9-10. I think those are like the first most producing spot and the tied for second most producing spot on the map, which also gives the best ore. So yeah, that's absolutely crazy. But I think the settlement still went down like they should have. So thank you all for watching. The second part will come out soon as well. And if you like content like this, then consider subscribing to the channel. King of Catan videos are uploaded here regularly.
We have a big community of Catan players, and we're constantly playing games, and we have tournaments frequently. So there's just a lot of content to commentate on and break down videos, some in-depth analysis, and this is just one of many. So these are the semifinals. I'm sure shortly or within, a week, 2 weeks, however long, but soon enough we should be able to bring some more videos to the channel.
And part 2 is coming soon as well, so thank you for watching, and thank you for commentating with me, Hustle. And
yeah, no problem.
We'll see you on the next one.